Please note that this content is for educational purposes and for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. More details available in the description box. Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Grizzly. This is Grizzly True Crime. And today, you gotta buckle up. You gotta buckle up. This is a wild case, okay? And it involves multiple people, multiple homicides across multiple states. And it appears to be a cult with a leader, obviously. Right? So please like and share so others know that we are live right now and they can come and watch with us, or that they get the notification and can watch later. And welcome to my moderators, patrons, members, subscribers. Thank you so much for being here. Any new people in chat as well, welcome. All you gotta do is subscribe, right? It's free. And then you could chat with us. So thank you so much for being here. Oh my word, I've been in a rabbit hole, you guys. Are we ready? I really hope so, because look at this. I'll show you now. This case it's one of the craziest cases I've just about ever heard of, right? I guess one could expect that from a cult, but at the same time, it's like, what? Like, you're not going to believe it, right? Okay, I just want to check that you can hear me, right? You can see me. Everything's good. So, the Zizians. Should I say Zizians? The Zizians. And that's just a few mugshots, a couple of pictures of them, right? Who are they? They are a radical, vegan, and transgender identifying group, cult, of computer scientists aged in their 20s and 30s who are now linked to at least 6 murders across 3 states: California, Pennsylvania, and Vermont, right? Now somebody said, Wendy said, yeah, it's very confusing. Don't worry. I've made charts. We've made pictograms, things, so we can understand exactly what's going on here. All right. So, as you can see, multiple people, multiple states, California, Pennsylvania, Vermont. Their leader is Jack Ziz LaSota. The arrow is pointing to Jack Ziz LaSota. Now, in advance, I would like to apologize if I get all the pronouns wrong and all the things like that, because it gets confusing. It gets confusing, right? So like Jack LaSota is a guy, but he identifies as a female. So Ziz would be she, and here and there I might mess it up because we're trying to follow, right? We're trying our very best to follow what's going on in this case. So the group is described as smart, techie vegans, many of them transgender women, who share an obsession with the dangers of artificial intelligence. So many of them have the same passion of veganism and expressing the dangers of artificial intelligence. And interestingly enough, the leader's dad works in AI. So I always like to look at the psychology of things like this, right? Okay, so deaths include a landlord, a border patrol agent, an elderly couple, and 2 group members, and the leader who faked their own death in 2022. Oh, this case gets so crazy, you have no idea. Okay, so Stefan, if you would remind people, please, to buckle up. So this is going to be one of the wildest cases I think I've ever covered. Okay, let's look at the murders, the fake death, and collateral damage just as an overview. Okay, so you know what you're getting yourself into here. So there was an elderly couple that were murdered, Richard and Rita Zajko, in Chester Heights, Pennsylvania in January of 2023. Then on the right-hand side, Jack LaSota, the leader, faked his own death or her own death in late 2022. Then Curtis Lint, he was attacked in November 2022 in Vallejo, California, and murdered later on January 17th of 2025. Then David Milland, he was shot and killed in Vermont, a border patrol agent, and that was in January of 2025. If you go to the right-hand side as well again, Emma Borhanian was killed while attacking the landlord, okay? And that was in November of 2022. And then there's Felix Ophelia Buckholt, who was shot and killed in this border patrol agent shootout in January of 2025. If you're already feeling like, nope, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do it, you can do it. Don't worry, I'm breaking it down for you, okay, because I myself needed to make sure that I can make sense of all of this, okay? So we're going to look at a lot of pictures. We're going to focus only on this presentation today, and by the end of this presentation, I think you're going to have a really good grip and understanding of this case, all right? So now here's a couple of the members of this group. Starting on the left, there's Michelle Zajko. It's her parents who were killed, right? 33. There's Daniel Blank. There's, if you start from here, okay, let's go from here. Michelle, next to Michelle, Jack Ziz LaSota, Alexander Letham, Emma Borhanian, Felix Ophelia Buckholt, and then Daniel Blank, Gwen Danielson, Maximilian Snyder, Teresa Youngblood, and Suri Dow. Just a couple of the members. Pretty much all of them that we have on this chart. I'll have to see later if I need to add any more of them, right? So, okay. You got an overview. Let's start with the leader of the group, shall we? So, Jack Ziz LaSota. Jack Amadeus LaSota was born in Alaska in 1991. She is currently 34 years old. His father was an AI researcher at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Then Jack followed in his father's footsteps and got a Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering from the same university, right? And he attended that from 2009 to 2013. From 2011 to 2013, he interned at NASA. This is the thing with this group. They're all very intelligent. They're all into computer science, you know? So it's like, it's a very scary group. So he interned at NASA. And then in 2014, he interned at Oracle. And in 2016, he was a software engineer at Berkeley Lights. He had a blog under the name Ziz, and he gained a following. And this is how the group pretty much came to be. We're going to get into a few other factors, but pretty much because they were expressing all these very radical beliefs on a blog. That's how they gained a following, right? So she is now considered the leader of the Zizians, a group of anarchist computer scientists. Although Jack, this is now from his bio on his own page, okay? Although Jack has enough of a computer science background to turn algorithms into code, most of his skills originated from an indie puzzle game that he wrote alone. He learned that he had to be a perfectionist about best practices in order to avoid slowing to a crawl on large projects. He developed another successful niche, major project, front-end only single-page web, wearing every hat and talking to the users about what they needed. All right? Okay. So, the leader, we're looking at their life. In 2012, the Center for Applied Rationality. Now, later I'll refer to that as Center for CFAR, okay? The Center for Applied Rationality, right? So in 2012, a nonprofit group started organizing gatherings in Berkeley, California. Its founders, you could see Anna Salomon on the right is a founder, wanted to build a community of rationalists, aka people who could use their mathematical and logical principles to save humanity and improve the world. A big concern that they had were the dangers of AI, artificial intelligence, which they wanted to try to help manage. So it's kind of like a risk assessment, project, I guess, nonprofit organization involving all these brilliant minds that are really great with software engineering and all the computer science things, right? So in 2014, Jack LaSota attended one of these events after moving to the Bay Area to work in tech after graduating magna cum laude from the University of Alaska Fairbanks. So it did extremely well. In 2018, Jack shared her radical, because at some point Jack transitioned to be a female, I think going by the name of Ziz. So in 2018, Jack shared her radical belief system during a month-long group retreat, which scared a lot of people, including the founder, Anna Salomon, right? So Anna Salomon on the right-hand side is the president and co-founder, has previously done machine learning research for NASA and applied mathematics research on the statistics of, I don't even know how to say that, phage metagenomics. She holds a degree in mathematics from UC Santa Barbara. So the co-founder said, on this group retreat, when Jack LaSota started sharing more of her radical beliefs, it scared the group a lot. And the co-founder said, I was viscerally afraid of Jack LaSota. In a way, I've never been viscerally afraid of anybody. Her gut instinct was spot on. I mean, there was nothing to really report on at the point except concerning thoughts and beliefs, you know? So it's not like she did anything wrong by not saying, see something, say something. There wasn't anything to do at that point. It was just like, oh my word, this person scared the absolute crap out of me, right? So imagine how she feels now. Okay, some of Jack's beliefs. Let's do some bullet points of some of Jack's beliefs. Number 1, radical veganism. Those who don't, sorry for the background noise, by the way. Okay, radical veganism. Those who didn't adhere to her beliefs were threatened, and she enforced her moral imperative. Identity. Jack transitioned to a female and equated her opposition to her identity with moral wrongdoing, threatening violence and protesting transgender issues. Philosophy. She believed that humans have 2 minds that can each have separate values and genders. She made it like the 2 hemispheres of the brain, okay? And that each one of these 2 minds can operate individually, have separate values, separate genders, and interestingly said, and in a sinister way, that they desire to kill each other. They often desire to kill each other. Okay? Moral absolutism. Her approach to ethics was absolutist, where she believed in enforcing her moral code without compromise. This extended to justifying violence for what she perceived as moral causes like animal rights or personal vendettas against those who opposed her views. Meaning, if she didn't want to pay rent and the landlord wanted her to pay rent, you're allowed to attack the landlord according to her beliefs, right? Okay, so anarchism. Clashed with legal systems, property rights, and societal norms, identified as well as a Sith, and said that police harassed her for wearing my religious attire. Now, a Sith is a character out of Star Wars. I've seen it, I have not watched Star Wars. My husband loves Star Wars, so I'd have to ask him more about the Siths, but I think they're like evil characters. Is anyone here familiar? Huh? Siths. So they dressed like Siths, identified religiously as a Sith. Interesting. So, other radical and esoteric ideas, living in extreme conditions to test or prove her philosophies, and we're going to get to that, right? So, I just want to put a disclaimer out there, right? Please do not get offended. If you're a vegan, if you're a transgender, if you are any of these things that any of these people are, please don't get offended by this case. I'm going to do the best I can to provide you the bullet points on what's happening in this case as it's reported, but let's not talk politics in chat, right? And let's just keep focused on what did they do? What are they accused of? What happened here? And how can this be so many people across so many states and killing so many people? I mean, there's already 6 homicides linked to this group. So it's like a serial killing cult group, even though each one individually is not a serial killer. You know what I mean? Okay, so these are some concerning beliefs, but at this point, again, they didn't do anything, right? Now, are we ready? Okay, so one of the quotes from their blog, the Ziz blog, said, reaching peace between hemispheres of the brain, right, with conflicting interests is a tricky process of repeatedly reconstructing frames of game theory and decision theory in light of realizations of them having been strategically damaged by your headmate. Very interesting, okay. So, thank you, Michelle. Diffendorfer said Sith is the dark side. Okay, I've heard of the dark side. Sith is the dark side. So it's interesting that Jack LaSota identified with that so strongly, right? Okay, so now in 2017, Jack and a friend, Gwen Danielson, bought a tugboat. And the tugboat was named Caleb. I don't know if they named it Caleb or if it was just named Caleb, in Alaska. So I'm assuming that Jack and Gwen were friends growing up because, and I'm only assuming, I don't know how they met besides online. But okay, they bought a tugboat named Caleb in Alaska and they planned to sail it down to the San Francisco Bay Area to live on it rent-free and kind of off-grid, obviously, in an effort to escape societal burdens while focusing on their philosophical and technological endeavors. In the summer of 2017, they actually arrived. They actually did it. They actually arrived in the Bay Area, and they had lots of problems along the way, apparently, and they moored at Pillar Point Harbor north of Half Moon Bay. The Coast Guard labeled it an imminent threat to public health. It apparently had oil leaks, it caused damage to other vessels by breaking loose in rough seas, and in late 2017, I don't know if now if it's San Mateo. The San Mateo County Harbor District attempted to actually sue them, because they were the two owners, to sue them for $100,000 for being this imminent threat to public health, right? And get that boat the hell out of there. They said the cost to remove the boat was estimated at $2 million. Okay? So, the tugboat was abandoned and slowly sank in Pillar Point Harbor, while crew moved to land-based living arrangements. So the boat was sinking, it was a gigantic problem, couldn't keep it stable, so they got back to land and they just basically abandoned it and left it to sink. Now, this is where Curtis Lint, the man in the picture on the right-hand side, encountered Jack LaSota and friends, who had now multiplied. Meaning there were more friends involved now on the land and wherever. It was Jack and Gwen and other friends. Now, he was their landlord in Vallejo, California. They met him at the dock because he had a boat at the dock and he knew all about the ship that was sinking. And he said they were unhappy with living on the tug. They decided that they wanted to move to my yard and buy moving vans and small moving vans and change them into places where they could live in the moving van and nobody would know that they're there. The group moved into vans and box trucks on Curtis Lynn's property. So that's what they said they want to do, and he let them do it, obviously extending some kindness. And wow, wait till you learn how they repaid him. Oh my goodness. So if you're only joining in the middle of the stream, I really hope you'll go back to the beginning, because you're going to need to. You're going to need to on this one. Follow from the start, right? Okay. On November 15th of 2019, Jack LaSota, 28 years old, and 3 friends attended a CFAR event. Remember the nonprofit organization I said, right? In Sonoma County, California. And they were wearing all black robes and then Guy Fawkes masks, which is like the one on the right-hand side. The inspiration was the V for Vendetta movie and also the hacker group Anonymous. So they went there. And instead, like Jack had always been part of this group, right? The Center for Applied, oh man, I knew I would forget it. Ugh. Now I'm looking at it, wait, I want to get it right. The Center for Applied Rationality, there we go. The Center for Applied Rationality, we don't want to forget that one, because I want to quickly show you that, you know, he was part of it, loved it, made a lot of friends there. One could say even recruited people into his cult there. Made a lot of connections there. And then in 2018, things started going a bit wrong because she expressed her beliefs and then everyone was scared. And so it's interesting that they went there in November of 2019, November 15th of 2019, to an event held by that group wearing black robes and all of this. They blocked the entrance to the event and then had a protest. Protesting for vegan rights, transgender rights, and just blocking people from going in, and also expressing the dangers again of AI and all of that. So, okay, police were called and they were charged with felony, criminal conspiracy, misdemeanors, and false imprisonment. They said it was like up to 5 misdemeanors. So they decided to lawyer up and they sought out specifically a vegan attorney, Jerry Friedman. They filed a lawsuit against CFAR and said they were falsely arrested and claimed that Jack was strip searched and harassed for being transgender. In August of 2022, the lawyer heard that Jack had fallen off a boat. The story gets so crazy. Are you ready? Okay. So now they lawyer up, they're suing this company. And so in August of 2022, the lawyer hears Jack had fallen off a boat in the San Francisco Bay. And that the Coast Guard was there looking for the body, couldn't find the body, was not able to be recovered, and was presumed dead. The Daily News Miner in Fairbanks, Alaska, where Jack is from, posted a brief obituary for Jack LaSota, apparently written by his mother. So it says on the corner there on the right-hand side. Jack Amadeus LaSota left our lives, but not our hearts, on August 19th, that was 2022, after a boating accident. Loving adventure, friends and family, music, blueberries, biking, computer games, and animals, you are missed. But guys, he wasn't dead. He faked his own death. Okay, the leader of the cult faked his own death to the point where everybody believed him. His lawyer, his parents. Obviously, the friends knew he wasn't dead. So, Attorney Friedman notified CFAR attorneys to let them know that, you know what, don't worry about this lawsuit because, Jack is deceased. November 13th of 2022, after failing to pay rent and essentially squatting on 80-year-old Curtis Lynn's property in Vallejo, California, there was a dispute because, of course, they didn't believe in paying rent and thought they could defend themselves if confronted. So the group attacked Curtis. He was stabbed multiple times, and he had a samurai sword plunged into his chest. He survived, but he lost his right eye. Now, during the attack, he managed to grab a gun and to shoot one of his attackers. Apparently, it was 3 involved in this attack, right? So he managed to shoot one of his attackers in self-defense, which killed one of them, which was Emma Borhanian. Emma had been one of the members of the group arrested at the protest at that CFAR event. So at this point, it was believed that 2 out of the 4 protesters were dead. Jack fell off a boat, and Emma, was really dead, was shot, okay? Yeah, poor Curtis. Rob says poor Curtis. Now, Emma Borhanian's friends described her as and anonymously because they're scared for their safety, as a kind and loving young woman, so smart that she worked at Google while in college. But she was part of the group who attacked 80-year-old Curtis Lynn because they believed that it was reasonable to avoid paying rent and defend oneself from being evicted. Her group members were charged with Emma's murder. These 2. Now you better follow. I'm telling you, you got to pay attention today. Okay, these are the 3 that attacked Curtis Lynn. The landlord, because Curtis was like, where's my rent? You need to get off my property because you're not paying rent. And they're like, attack with a samurai sword. Take his eye out, stab him multiple times, and plunge a samurai sword into his chest, which he miraculously survived. Okay, so because Curtis had shot Emma in self-defense, the police decided, well, obviously the district attorney decided that these 2 were responsible for Emma's death. They charged them with murder because they're very dangerous people, right? So her group members were charged with Emma's murder, even though she was killed in self-defense by Curtis. Alexander Latham and Suri Dio were charged with her death and the attempted murder of Curtis. Okay? So remember those 2 because there's more later. Okay, so keep going. On November 15th of 2022, the police contacted Curtis Lint and told him that actually Jack LaSota was alive and well. They'd found him with this group and they're like, holy crap, this guy is alive and well. And he was always more, obviously, he was the leader of the group. So I think he would give off the shadiest vibes, if I could say it like that. So that must have really given Curtis a fright of like, oh my word, that one is alive. Obviously, the 2 that attacked him, they were alive and in jail. And then Emma was deceased. She was shot in self-defense, right? Jack, when the police were like, he's alive and well, or she's alive and well, traveled across the country to Pennsylvania. So like left California and went to Pennsylvania. Woody Deason, thank you for being a member for 22 months. Nicola Wilson says, sounds like a really bad novel. This is hectic. Now, December 31st, this is only the beginning, okay? December 31st of 2022, Richard Zajko, 71, was shot in his right hand and temple, and his wife, Rita, was shot in the back of the head in their home in Chester Heights, Pennsylvania. Interesting, right? Where Jack goes, violence starts happening, allegedly. Okay, their bodies were discovered on January 2nd of 2023. So they said the murders would have happened on New Year's Eve of 2022. Okay? Now are we ready? Janice says, only the beginning. Yes. Okay, so here we go. These are the parents of this one who was shot, okay? This one is Michelle Zajko. Their daughter, born as a son, I just want to say that to clarify, okay, was tracked down in a motel where she was staying with Daniel Blank, pictured on the right-hand side of the bottom, and with Jack LaSota, pictured half asleep here, right? You could see that. Michelle and Daniel were detained, but Jack, Ziz, would not cooperate, playing dead on the floor. Jack was charged with obstructing the investigation and disorderly conduct. While Michelle is a person of interest in the case of the double homicide of her parents, she's not been charged with her parents' murder, but the investigation is ongoing, and they say that they've linked a gun that she bought to this murder. And this one is very important as well in this group. This one is basically the gun buyer. You'll find that out later as well, right? Grey Wolf Paranormal Lindsay said, I will have to watch this twice. I think so. Please watch it twice at least. But I'm really hoping that, because I like to make sense out of chaos. So I'm hoping I'm making sense out of all of this for you, right? Okay. So, again, this guy, Jack, who's like sleeping in that person's hand, is friends. He's the leader of these people, this group, okay? They all flock to him. So, Ziz, Jack, literally played dead as her mugshot was taken. In June of 2023, Jack was released on $10,000 bail and failed to return on a bench warrant, and location was unknown. And I mean unknown until yesterday. You guys, they'd arrested all these people in this cult for all sorts of things, but the leader was missing until yesterday. They arrested Jack. They arrested Jack. These three pictured here, they arrested him yesterday. Today they were in court, and they are now being held on no bond. Okay? So there's 6 arrests. 2 group members are dead. And these 3 were just arrested yesterday. All right. So let's keep going. Someone says, Kim says, I'm going to have to watch this at least 5 times. Now let's look at Felix Ophelia Backholt. Another person in the group, okay? So Ophelia attended high school in Freiburg, Germany, and was a national mathematics champion. In 2014, she won a gold medal at the International Olympiad in Informatics and got a scholarship at the University of Waterloo in Canada to study pure mathematics. Remember, born a male, transitioned, okay? She graduated from the University of Waterloo with honors and interned at Jane Street Capital in New York, and then got a job at Tower Research Capital. Transitioned to a female after college, but is referred to as Felix in legal documents. In the summer of 2023, she lived in New Jersey City, New Jersey, and worked at a trading firm and made between $250,000 and $500,000 a year. Was doing extremely well and donated to a lot of charities. She started being a lot more isolated from friends. Friends started to take notice. She's not socializing with us so much. Right? We don't see her all that much. And so they said she took frequent weekend trips to places that she would not talk about. So now this would be the beginning of meeting up with people like Jack LaSota, the leader of the group. Why? Because she had discovered the online blog, the Ziz blog that the leader had. Okay? And so her friend said that she super micromanaged decisions to make sure that her state of mind was in the right place to perform as well as possible at work. For example, no coffee, no soda, get the perfect amount of sleep. So, while that might sound like great discipline, in this context, unfortunately, it made people like this very vulnerable to someone like Jack LaSota, allegedly, right? Okay. So also, by the way, thank you, Jura behind the screen said the Sith are a religious order of force wielders who use the dark side of the force. They are the main antagonists in the franchise and are enemies of the Jedi. So that's in the Star Wars. So they identify with the dark side, because eventually this whole group was wearing the black trench coats and had guns on them and identified as these Siths and as females, even though they were born males, all of that, right? And they were all computer geniuses and mathematics geniuses and all of that. All right, so I'm telling you this backstory because you need to know that somebody this intelligent, this bright, who wins the scholarship, who wins the International Olympiad in Informatics, which is the highest award you can get, okay? then gets a scholarship and all of that, but yet got sucked into this cult. Okay, so she started being more isolated from friends, took frequent trips and weekend flights to places that she would not talk about. Her friends said she super micromanaged decisions, so getting more and more radical. And in 2022, Ophelia followed Ziz and spoke about ethical veganism and altruism at social events. So eventually going to social events, some people started feeling just a little bit uncomfortable because the conversations turned very radical, right? And so eventually she expressed the importance of retribution under some circumstances. So there, yeah, the mindset takes a turn to the dark side. Now, friends cautioned Ophelia against the Zizians, describing it as a death cult because they knew about the blog. They saw some of that and like, where are you getting this from, right? But by November of 2023, Ophelia departed from New York Liberty International Airport and cut all ties with friends. So November 2023, she's out of there. So you could see the group starting to form, all right? Now, between 2023 and January of 2025, Ophelia Buckholt and Teresa Youngblood had been living at 2 condos associated with the group in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. They move around, okay? Neighbors reported their odd behavior. They wore long black coats. They parked box trucks outside duplexes. They ran an electrical cord from one box truck into one of the condos, which apparently was an Airbnb, and kept a stretcher inside another box truck. They walked around at night holding hands silently. Okay. Neighbors also saw the group wearing tactical clothing and then said they had weapons and they were walking around the woods at night, and it freaked them out a little bit, which is why the neighbors started going like, this is a little bit concerning, what is going on here, right? So they rarely came out, this is now, the source is Associated Press, and this is a quote, right? They rarely came out during the day, but would walk around the neighborhood and in the woods at night, the former neighbor said, who also spoke only on the condition of anonymity because of her concerns for their safety. Sometimes all 3 of them would go for a walk and they held hands. They seemed to care for each other a great deal. So those 2 we know of, and I think Michelle or Jack LaSota, I don't know. There's 3 of them that they saw together in the woods often. So now we fast forward a little bit to January 2025, okay? Those same 2 that they just talked about, all right? They were at an inn in Vermont. So an employee of the Newport City Inn in Vermont contacted the police to report their concern about 2 guests who were wearing black tactical style clothing and said they had a gun exposed in a holster. They were under surveillance for several days before they were pulled over on January 20th of 2025. This cracks this whole case open because it starts making connections, especially with the phones, and they're all in contact with Jack LaSota, the leader of the group, and all of that, right? Okay, so they were under surveillance for several days because now the police were very worried about like, who are these people and what are they doing? And so they eventually get pulled over driving a Toyota Prius, and they were just asked to do an immigration check. Now the friend of this brilliant mathematician, Ophelia, Teresa, she's driving the vehicle and pulls out a gun and starts shooting at the Border Patrol agents. That's the reaction to pulling over. Like, can you just pull over? Let's do an immigration check. That's it. Guns are coming out. So a shootout with Border Patrol agents took place, which killed Ophelia, the mathematician from Germany, okay? The brilliant one that made $250,000 to $500,000 per year working in trading companies and all of that, okay? So Ophelia was killed. And a Border Patrol agent was also killed. And that would be David Malland, or Malland. Malland. Shame. Thank you so much, Holly. So Teresa was injured and charged with the death of the Border Patrol agent David Malland, and also had 2 federal weapons charges because the pair had been traveling with a large collection of weapons and tactical gear. Now here's what's important. The 2 of them, where they were, where this crime happened, the shootout, it was super close to where that other one, whose parents were murdered, the one that I said was the gun buyer, Michelle, they were 10 miles from their house. This one. Remember this one? The parents were murdered. This is still an ongoing investigation in Pennsylvania. They were 10 miles from this one's house. This one bought the guns that was in the vehicle of those 2. Okay, so Michelle Zajko, the person of interest in her parents' double homicide, is in... Okay, guess who the guns were purchased by is the question. Sorry, I skipped the headline. Guess who the guns were purchased by that was in the vehicle with Ophelia and Teresa? Michelle Zajko purchased those guns. This is the person of interest in her parents' double homicide in Pennsylvania. And this is also a picture of her, by the way. This is her and this is her. Michelle owned land in Orleans, Vermont, which was approximately 10 miles from the location where the Border Patrol agent and Ophelia were shot. Michelle and Teresa have allegedly been in frequent contact. Michelle and Teresa have been in contact with Jack Ziz LaSota. Okay? I really hope you're following. You got to visualize it. And this is the best way I can break it down for you. It's insane. These connections are like, oh my goodness. The prosecutors have a lot on their hands because it's also, as I say, 3 different states, 6 different deaths, homicide, and at least 6 people arrested. Now remember Curtis Lind, the landlord who was attacked in November of 2022? Okay? 2 people, Suri Dow and Alexander Jeffrey Latham, were charged in the sword attack, right? Remember they attacked him with a sword? They were charged and also charged with Emma Borhanian's death. They were going to trial in April of 2025 for the murder of their own group member, Emma Borhanian, and the attempted murder of Curtis Lind. And who was going to be the key witness? The only one who saw the sword attack, the one that was attacked that survived? Curtis was going to be a key witness. Well, on January 17th of 2025, 3 days before the Border Patrol agent shooting, Curtis Lind was stabbed to death on his property in Vallejo, California. He was 82 years old. Now look on the right-hand side. You could see a picture of Curtis Lind after he lost his eye, right? And next to him, you can see the 2 people, those are the 3 people that attacked him, and Alexander and Suri were charged, okay, with their friend Emma Borhanian's death and the attempted murder of Curtis. You see them? The pictures speak 1,000 words in this case. Okay? Now, this gets very interesting. So, the thing is that, 2 people, Suri and Alexander, were charged and they were going to trial, and Curtis was going to be the key witness. So they obviously communicate with a friend in the group, this one, Maximilian Snyder. He's from Seattle. He goes to Curtis's property and allegedly murders him, stabs him, slices his throat. He dies, 82 years old, Curtis, right? And why? Because they said it was for revenge. Obviously, because, of their belief system and the sword attack and then the upcoming trial, didn't want him to be a witness. So Maximilian Snyder from Seattle was arrested and charged with Curtis Lind's murder. Now guess what? He was engaged to Teresa, the one that was in the car that shot at the Border Patrol agents. It's all linked. And this whole Border Patrol agent event unlocked all of this. And I think the phone data is going to be so interesting. I think it's really connected. I'm sure that there must be such a very hectic investigation. But you can see that those 2, they're sitting in jail for the attempted murder of Curtis Lind and the murder of Emma. And then they get a friend, this one, to go there and kill Curtis. Basically, allegedly. And this one is engaged to Teresa, who's in a completely different state. And very close to Michelle's house, the gun buyer, and almost 10 miles away when the Border Patrol agent thing happens, and Michelle is a suspect, a person of interest, in her parents' double homicide, where Jack also was. It's crazy, right? Carol says, Uncle Google will have lots to say. Now, Maximilian Snyder and Teresa Youngblood met in high school, and they'd filed a marriage application in November of 2024. And it's interesting that that happened just 3 days, like Curtis was killed just 3 days before the Border Patrol shootout and all of that. Okay, so in the meantime, Jack was on the run. Nobody knew. I've been following this case a bit and trying to make sense of it for quite some time. It's like, what is happening here? So, okay, I really feel like I finally have a grip on it. I hope you do too. In the meantime, Jack was on the run. And that was so concerning. Like, where is he? Or she? Where is she? Look out for a black trench coat. What is happening? Running around, might as well be a manhunt, right? But yet for what? Well, yeah, outstanding arrest warrants. Okay. In the meantime, Jack was on the run. But guess what? He was arrested yesterday on February 17th of 2025 in Maryland. In Maryland. On charges including trespass on private property, handgun in vehicle, and obstructing and hindering. So the charges aren't big right now. They're not big. The investigation's ongoing. And they've obviously found things to charge them with to just keep them in jail and out of society while they do this investigation. Okay? Michael Smith, thank you so much for your sticker. I really appreciate that. So, yeah, Ziz on the run. Rob McMillan says Ziz was on the run and then busted in Maryland. Okay? Then, Michelle. Michelle was the one. Okay? The picture looks different. This is Michelle now. Doing this pose for mugshots. These people are weird with mugshots, okay? Michelle, the one whose parents, the double homicide of the parents in Pennsylvania, was also arrested on charges of resisting arrest and handgun on a person. And then yesterday, a third person was arrested, Daniel. Daniel Blank was arrested. His parents have not heard from him since the spring of 2023. They actually said he was a missing person, and his last message to them was, look at what you've done. And it was something to do with the farming. It was in reference to veganism and something about them eating meat and look at the farming and everything. So he said, look at what you've done. And they didn't hear from him again since the spring of 2023. So Daniel Blank was also arrested. So Jack, Ziz, LaSota was arrested. Michelle Zajko was arrested. And Daniel Blank as well. Don't worry, I'm going to give you a summary of who was arrested in a moment. So as for her parents' murders, a doorbell camera captured audio and video of a car pulling up the house with a voice shouting, Mom, according to a Pennsylvania State Police affidavit. And apparently also saying, Mom, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So like was at the scene, was in contact with Jack LaSota, the leader, had also bought the guns that ended up murdering her parents. And the guns that she had bought were also in a vehicle with Teresa and Ophelia with a Border Patrol shootout that killed Ophelia. Teresa was injured. The Border Patrol agent died. All of that, right? So this is quite a case. Now, finally, a little summary of who the hell has been arrested. Who in this group has been arrested? Let's start with the top two. Alexander Somni Leatham and Suri Deo are in custody in Solano County, California, because these are all arrested in different states. They're in custody in Solano County, California, awaiting trial for the attempted murder, obviously still of the landlord, and murder charges for their friend Emma, right? So they're still waiting for that, even though somehow they got their friend to, in the meantime, kill the landlord. What? Then, Maximilian Snyder is being held in California on murder charges for Curtis Lynn's murder, the landlord. Snyder released a letter to say that he is not a friend of the leader, Ziz, but expressed the importance of becoming vegan. Like, you really had to write that letter, bro. I'm not a friend. I just share all the same beliefs. Okay. So, like, all right. And so Teresa Youngblood, the one that he's engaged to, is in custody in Vermont for the death of the Border Patrol agent Milland, and also being held on federal firearms charges. All of them are being held on no bond. And then as of yesterday, these three were arrested. We've got Daniel Blank, Michelle Zajko, and Jack Ziz LaSota are being held in Maryland for obstructing and hindering officers, as well as trespassing and misdemeanor firearm possession. The investigators that are working on the case aren't going to do any press releases at this time because the investigation is kind of fluid and ongoing, and the FBI is involved now. So the FBI is involved now. They would have to be in a case like this. Obviously, it's a federal case, multiple states, multiple murders. Can you imagine the digital data? They need all their resources to analyze what the hell is going on here, right? Jill and Brian W. said, this is Helter Skelter 2.0. A little bit, hey? Yeah. You said, great work, G. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so now if you paid attention, you might notice that there's somebody missing here. Because we know of Ophelia that died, we know of Emma that died, but like, isn't there somebody missing? Where are they? So I'm like, oh my word, where are they? So let's have a look at that quickly. Oh, Gwen Danielson is nowhere to be found. Gwen Danielson, born Jasper R. Danielson, is also part of the Zizians group. She, born a male, but she was known to share and possibly co-develop some of the radical ideologies with Jack LaSota. I might even say was Jack LaSota's bestie, including extreme veganism, transgender activism, and an anarchistic lifestyle that rejected conventional societal norms. Okay, so basically I would say that it sounds like Gwen and Jack developed this together, this whole thing, okay? So, also, remember that Gwen was the one who bought the tugboat with Jack LaSota, who sailed that tugboat from Alaska to the San Francisco Bay Area. Very important person in this case, okay? And so, Gwen was arrested. There were 4 people arrested that day at the protest outside the Center for Applied Rationality. Remember that? So Gwen is very important. Now, Gwen was rumored to have taken her own life in 2022, but that has not been confirmed. And everywhere you look, people are speculating that she faked her death to avoid prosecution or detection or whatever it is. Obviously, her bestie faked their death too at some point, so it wouldn't be such a stretch, because you'd be like, fake death? Yeah, Jack did. And people, including Jack's own mother, believed that they were dead. Jack's lawyer believed that they were dead. So, did they fake their death? I don't know. But I don't know where this one is. Even if they say rumored to have taken their own life, where are they though? Where? What do you mean? So, no one knows where Gwen is. So I'm hoping, that's the end of my presentation. I'm hoping that you understand that. Let's do one more quick overlook here. So who are these people that we just talked about? The Zizians, a radical, vegan, and transgender identifying group cult, it's a cult, of computer scientists aged 20s and 30s who are now linked to at least 6 murders across 3 states, which are California, Pennsylvania, and Vermont. Their leader is Jack Ziz LaSota. The group is described as smart techie vegans, many of them transgender women who share an obsession with the dangers of artificial intelligence. The deaths include, now you know, the landlord, Curtis Lint, a Border Patrol agent, Davis Milland, an elderly couple, Michelle's parents, right, Richard and Rita, 2 group members, that would be Emma and Ophelia, and the leader himself or herself that faked their own death in 2022. Peggy Torrey said, you did a great job, G. I think between your outline and visuals of faces, I think I got it. But I'm sure there are more out there. I'm telling you, man, if you watch this one more time, you're going to know. You're going to know. So I'm just going through it one more time here quickly so that you can see. Because now we've gone through it all. The first time must have been a lot to process, but you can see it now. When you see the picture, you're like, oh, here's the murders, the fake death, and the collateral damage. The murders are of Richard and Rita Zajko in Chester Heights, Pennsylvania in January of 2023. Jack LaSota faked their own death in late 2022. Also, Curtis Lint, the landlord, after the tugboat failed, the landlord was attacked in November of 2022 and eventually murdered on January 17th of 2025. And he shot Emma Borhanian when Emma and 2 friends attacked him. Okay? So that was in November of 2022. And then we've got the Border Patrol agent, David Milland, in Vermont, was killed in a shootout that Teresa and Ophelia started when they were pulled over in their Toyota Prius, right? So Felix Ophelia Backholt, January 25. So when you say, well, how many people are deceased? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 6 deaths, 1 fake death, maybe 2 fake deaths. Maybe 2, because we don't know where Gwen is, right? So let me quickly see. Melanie said, this is the most impressively organized presentation I've ever seen. I can't believe I'm actually following it. I'm so glad, Melanie Leonetti. I'm so glad that you can follow this. Like, we have to see it this way. That's the only way. It's the only way to make sense of this. And Reborico says, I'm so confused. Watch it one more time. You won't be confused. Listen to it. You'll understand. All these people are linked, even though they're different states. They're doing different things. This all started really with a tugboat, trying to live on it, getting on the land, that sank. And then it starts with the murder of the attack of a landlord. And then off they go. And the group just develops together. And they still obviously they were blogging, posting, doing all the things from the leader. So here you can see all of the people that we know of so far in this group, of which Felix Ophelia Buckhold is dead. Emma Borhanian is dead. So Michelle, double homicide of parents, investigation ongoing. Very interesting. And then Jack LaSota, Alexander Leatham, right? You could see all these people. We've just gone through everything here. Darlene Weaver said, this could be another Jack in Idaho 4. What does that mean? You mean like Jack, and Jack? No, there's just one Jack here, luckily in this case. Darlene, thank you for your sticker. So this will make sense to you if you can also just watch it again, follow each slide carefully, and visualize, okay? It all starts with this guy. Welcome to membership, Betsy. It all starts with this guy and his friend Gwen, or her friend Gwen, and grows from there, okay? So I hope this makes sense. You could see some of the beliefs. You could see how it develops. How do they eventually get in touch with that landlord? Oh, the boat actually sinks. Okay. Now they're all living there on the property of the landlord, refusing to pay rent. So they must attack the landlord. In the meantime, Jack's faking his death, attacking the landlord. And so it builds. Okay. And so it builds. And you can see how all of this collides, that all of these people end up being connected. And there's a double homicide that's still unsolved. But I'm not going to be shocked if these people are linked to this. And why? Why would that be? They say the motive would be financial gain. Lots of life insurance here. Life insurance, the house. Maybe it could have been their, and I'm speculating, their hub, their home base, right? And they also killed, or whoever. These two victims were murdered on New Year's Eve, December 31st of 2022. I don't know. It could be, I mean, they get very upset if anyone doesn't agree with them. So even if they didn't serve vegan food, who knows if that would really upset them? Who knows if it's like, let's just get rid of them because we want the money. We want the life insurance. We want the house. I don't know. I'm speculating. There's no connection yet besides the guns that their born son, now daughter, bought. That is linked. There's already documents coming out and there's already links to the weapons that were bought, okay? So I hope that you understand. I hope it makes sense. Go through it one more time. Leave your comments below. If there's anything you're really confused by, please leave your comments below. And then maybe we meet again and then we talk about it again. That is, I've read every article I could find. There's not too much video out there. If you happen to find anything supplemental to my research, like I haven't found the actual blog. I haven't found the Ziz blog yet, but the blog, videos, anything that you want to send me, my email is grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you because I have been down this rabbit hole, okay? This one is so crazy. I can't wait to tell Mr. Grizzly all about it. I hope he asked me tonight. So what was that case about? Well, let me tell you. I think I'm even going to tell the cats. It's a crazy case. Oh, my word. So, yeah, good luck to the investigators because this is going to be, I mean, it has to be between states. They have to collaborate. It's like, at least the FBI is involved. It's going to be huge. And who knows who else may be arrested and what else may be revealed from this massive investigation spanning 3 states involving 6 homicides, faked deaths, missing people, and just all sorts of things, right? Okay, so Shraddha says, thanks, G. You are right on it. That border patrol in Vermont is my backyard. Okay, all right. Texas Tupac said, I'm very interested in this case because Liv will send you what I find. Thank you so much. Grizzly Cat says, thank you, and thank you. Thank you, everyone. I look forward to seeing you again. Again, leave your questions, comments below. Look forward to reading them, and then we'll meet again. If you didn't see my video that I put out yesterday, go check it out. We did a full deep dive, detailed timeline in Megan Boswell's case. A 90-minute timeline with all the bullet points you could ever want, okay? So go check that out. And then I also did a second video about where Megan Boswell had a sinister media interview, right? So I'll see you again very soon. In the meantime, stay safe.